So you want to draw a dragon, but not just any dragon. You want to draw something like this. Unfortunately, the biggest problem you have with drawing this is this. These tiny, intricate, awful little scales that you just can't quite seem to get the hang of, right? Well, not to worry, because I'm going to be going through my personal process of how I draw scales in the hopes that it might help you in your dragony adventures, or at least keep you from drawing nothing but gross, leathery skin all the time. So get ready, grab the nearest pencil, and get ready to start drawing your dragon. Step 1 is to draw the dragon. Can be any dragon you'd like. Technically, you could have a fuzzy dragon to do this and just give it scales instead. Ears, horns, mouth, nose, eyes, multiple eyes if you're into that. Anything can be added to this. This is all up to you. This is the dragon I decided to go with as just a basic shape to show you guys the idea of drawing scales on its form. It's a very easy thing to do. Very, very simple. Possibly one of the worst dragons I've ever drawn. After drawing your dragon, the next thing you're going to want to do is find some references. Easiest way to do this? Go on Google and take a look. As you can see here, there are tons of animals that happen to have scales, like this lizard, this pangolin, which has these beautiful overlapping scales, or this chameleon, which has these little circles and dots. But my favorite is the alligator, which has these big square scutes all over its body. I'm going to just flip through a couple more photos here, show you this, that, the other. But once you have a pretty good idea of what an animal with scales kind of looks like, next up is to put it on the dragon. The step 1 of drawing scales is to outline your dragon's muscles. I know that sounds ridiculous. We're not drawing a buff dragon, we're drawing a normal dragon. Does not matter. Outline the muscles. Outline the areas where a big muscle group would be, like the jaw, the eyebrow and under the eye, the bridge of the nose, the forehead, as well as neck muscles. You'll see here, when we get to the point, I will outline the area where the underbelly is going to be, as well as multiple muscles that run through the dragon's neck. But what about the actual scales? Well, we're going to start by just drawing lines. Large, flat plates where we want the scales to be. These are usually on the bridge of the nose, on the eyebrow. You'll see here I'm going to add some small circular type scales under the eye, but even those are just going to be lines for now. Everything is about the grid, the lines, and all of that nonsense. If you want smaller scales, you draw a grid and not just big lines. As for the body, I'm going to add fish scale texture, or snakeskin texture. In order to do that, I'm going to need to create a diamond grid, quite like this. You're going to see me do diagonal lines and then diagonal lines in the other direction. I'm actually going to speed this up, because God knows I don't want to be here for 5 years. Now, for the rest of the face, I'm going to add a normal grid. Smaller by the eye, larger further away from it. It's a pretty solid way to do this. This is going to turn, instead of into fish scales, into large cuboidal scales that kind of look like kernels of corn. You'll see what I mean when we get to the end product. I will be doing this on all planes of the face, and then as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to do the scutes down the neck, or the underbelly as some people like to call it. I'm going to draw nothing but diagonal lines down the neck, so I know exactly where I want each scute to go. Next, we outline the actual scales, so I'm going to dim the red, select a blue, and go ham. You're going to start with easier, larger scales, and you're going to work your way up into these smaller ones. See these corn kernel cuboidal shapes that I'm putting on the eyebrow? Scales. I'm just vaguely following the guideline left for me by the grid and using that to display how I want the scales to be. We're now coming up to the most tedious part of scale making. This part I have sped up to an absurd amount because I absolutely despise the process of it, as fun as it might seem. You just make this overlapping fish scale texture. And at certain points you may see me go off the grid. That was mostly because I don't care about the grid. I'm just going to do what it takes and get through this. And then I turn it into black, and we're set. Congratulations! You've just drawn your first ever dragon. Oh? What's that? You want more? I don't. Fine, I will outline this dragon and very roughly color it in, to give you an idea of how this is going to look on a finished product, I suppose. Hey, I just wanted to thank you guys for tuning into this episode. This is my first time doing something quite like this, and I really appreciate you guys supporting it. I'm looking forward to doing this more often in the future, should my job allow me to. And, yeah, no, thank you guys for watching. Have a great evening.